He casually drew a few lines on the canvas, yet it sold for a staggering 5 million. You think he's some abstract artist? He's just an idle troublemaker with nothing better to do. Are you out of your mind? Everyone else shows up to the rich guy's house in proper suits, waiting their turn, but this guy barges in with a blank piece of paper. When the wealthy man asked about his skills, Driss replied, I'm not here to apply for a job. He just needed proof of attending an interview, as 3 employer rejections would qualify him for unemployment benefits. To ruin the interview, Driss even flirts with the rich man's secretary, throwing her a suggestive wink. Philippe cracks a smile, something he hasn't done in ages. Once a billionaire with vast wealth and resources, a tragic paragliding accident left him completely paralyzed from the neck down. This devastating injury forced him to hire a full-time caregiver to assist with his daily needs and activities. He interviewed many highly educated professional caregivers, but they all treated Philippe as if he were disabled. This made Philippe very upset. He hated being looked at with eyes that sympathized with the weak. Driss's appearance made Philippe feel particularly relaxed, so he decided to offer Driss a 1-month trial period. Driss did not refuse because the salary was too high. That's how 2 completely different personalities begin their journey of healing each other. This film is considered the crown jewel of French cinema, with 1 million viewers rating it 9.3. The housekeeper took Adele on a tour of Philippe's mansion, which is spacious and luxurious, with bathrooms that are larger than his own home. Driss knows nothing about caregiving. He falls asleep when the doctor explains caregiving knowledge to him, and he nearly drops Philippe while transferring him to his wheelchair. See, isn't this quite easy? Careful. He uses shampoo to wash his feet and applies shower gel to his head. While feeding Philippe, he gets distracted by the pretty secretary and pokes food into Philippe's eye. Finding it funny, he pours hot water on Philippe's legs to test if he really can't feel anything. Friends question why Philippe would hire a troublemaker. Someone like that has no compassion. But Philippe responds, that's exactly what I want. Someone without compassion. He forgets I'm disabled and treats me like a normal person. I don't need anyone's pity. Driss gave Philippe immense respect by refusing to do what other caregivers do when going out, moving Philippe along with his wheelchair into the trunk. Driss thinks this is too disrespectful. He lifted the sports car's cover and carried Philippe inside. The engine's roar excites them both, one with wide-eyed wonder, the other with a long-absent smile. Philippe hadn't sat in a sports car since becoming paralyzed. Unlike Philippe, who would have silently endured, Driss doesn't tolerate the neighbor parking carelessly at their entrance. He walks over and pulls the neighbor out of the car. Read this. This method is good. No parking in front of private parking spaces. Burn this into your mind and get lost. Driss stays by Philippe's side 24/7. Late one night, Philippe suddenly starts breathing rapidly. Driss quickly places a cool towel on his forehead, gently reassuring him. Don't be afraid. Philippe soon calms down. He tells Driss that it's a side effect of long-term medication use. So Driss puts him in his wheelchair, and they go to the riverside at 4 a.m. The fresh air makes Philippe feel very comfortable, his first time truly seeing Driss's responsibility and care. They arrived at the cafe, and Philippe told Driss about skydiving with his wife, but an accident happened. His wife died on the spot, and he was left paralyzed. His real pain wasn't being in a wheelchair, but his wife's departure. Driss listened quietly by his side, and their relationship began to grow closer. Philippe smiled and told Driss, you've passed your probation period. For the first time, Driss felt the sense of being recognized. In the days that followed, Driss's caregiving became less clumsy and more adept. One day he discovered that Philippe had a pen pal. When he asked, he learned they had been writing to each other for 6 months. But Philippe, feeling inferior, didn't dare to call the other person. Knowing this, Driss decided to help Philippe regain his confidence, so he picked up the phone and made the call. Although Philippe initially refused, once the call connected, they chatted away. The pen pal asked to exchange photos. Philippe worried she would dislike him for being disabled and didn't dare send a photo showing him in a wheelchair. But Driss thought he should be honest with everyone, as the photo of him in the wheelchair looked spirited and full of life. When it was time to send the photo, Philippe still had the butler switch it to a photo of him before the accident. Soon Philippe received the pen pal's photo and she suggested they meet. Philippe was so excited that he spent several days choosing his outfit. But this excitement was mixed with anxiety and inferiority. He worried she would dislike his current appearance. Sure enough, on the day of the date, Philippe backed out. He had Driss push him out of the restaurant and he brushed past his pen pal. Indeed, even billionaires can feel inferior in the face of love. They took a private plane to the place where Philippe used to skydive, and the two of them experienced the joy of descending from high altitudes. Driss took Philippe out to play every day. They had snowball fights, and although the snowballs were one-sided, the joy was mutual. Driss thought Philippe's wheelchair was too slow, so he found a modification shop to install a power boost, reaching speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour. They both experienced a thrilling ride in life. Philippe took Driss to buy suits and attend a concert. Philippe went to an art exhibition, saw an abstract painting worth 4 million on the wall, and decided to buy it. Driss couldn't appreciate the art that the rich admired. He thought it looked like street graffiti. Give me $50, he said. I'll go to the building materials market, buy a can of paint, and guarantee it'll look better than this. Soon, it was Philippe's birthday, and with Driss's involvement, it became much livelier. Gone were the dull concerts of previous years. Driss led the servants in a light-hearted dance for Philippe. He also painted 3 pictures as birthday gifts for Philippe. Philippe told his friends it was the work of an emerging artist, already exhibited in London and soon to be shown in Berlin. Without hesitation, a friend bought it for 5 million. Driss was surprised to get the money, not expecting he had such talent for painting. Happy days always pass quickly. One day, Driss's brother came to him. Driss's younger brother accidentally got in trouble, and for the first time Driss told Philippe about his background. He was an orphan, later adopted by a mother who worked odd jobs to support him and his siblings. As the eldest, Driss had never done anything to make his mother proud and felt guilty, thinking he should take on the responsibility. Philippe knew it was time for Driss to leave. You can't take care of a disabled person for your whole life. The next day, Driss bid farewell to everyone, and even the secretary who used to dislike him felt reluctant to see him leave. When he saw cars parked haphazardly outside, he didn't resort to violence but persuaded them kindly. He had also grown while being by Philippe's side. After returning home, Driss helped his brother out of trouble. With the experience he gained with Philippe, flipping through the resume, he unexpectedly found a misplaced photo by Philippe. It was then he realized that Philippe had not sent the photo of himself in a wheelchair to his pen pal, which is why he was afraid to meet them. On the other side, new caregivers arrived at Philippe's side, being very cautious, as if constantly reminding Philippe of his disability. Philippe had grown a scruffy beard and looked completely defeated. That night when he suffered another breathing attack, the frightened caregiver just stood frozen in the doorway. "Get out!" Philippe shouted angrily, sending him away. With no other options, the butler had to find Driss again, hoping he could help Philippe. Soon the two met again, and Driss teased as he used to. "How have you been? Are you playing the Lion King?" Driss asked. He took Philippe for a drive, and they drove wildly on the road. Soon the police caught up, and Driss said, "I bet $100 I can shake off the police car." Unfortunately, they were quickly pulled over. "Add another 200, Driss said again. "I bet they won't arrest us and will even clear the way for us." After exiting the car, he accused the police, claiming his boss was severely ill and needed emergency hospital treatment. Who would be liable if the condition worsened? On cue, Philippe began convulsing and foaming at the mouth. Seeing the wheelchair in the trunk, they believed them, so the police cleared the way for them. Driss noticed Philippe's unhappiness and took him to the seaside. Looking at Philippe's bearded face, Driss playfully styled it in various ways, eventually making it look like a Nazi mustache. They chose a seat by the window in the restaurant, and Driss returned the stolen egg to Philippe. It was a gift from Philippe's late wife, now returned to its rightful owner. Driss stood up to leave. "Give her a good kiss for me," Driss said mysteriously as he walked away. Philippe started to feel a bit anxious until a beautiful lady came over. It was his pen pal. It turns out that Driss had secretly arranged a wonderful date for Philippe, and the date he initially avoided ended up being perfect. To Philippe's relief, his pen pal wasn't bothered by his disability at all. Driss smiled and waved goodbye from afar. This film is based on a true story, though the actual caregiver was white. The director intentionally cast a black actor to enhance the contrast in class and race, making the story more powerful. To this day, they remain each other's most sincere friends. For people with disabilities, what they need may not necessarily be careful service, but rather to be treated without discrimination, just like ordinary people.